Hey guys, I'm learning TFT and I'm sharing my learnings with you so that you can learn better and I can learn more effectively as well. In this video, I'm going to go through Twisted Fate Reroll, a high-level overview, then go into the meta mindset of the day, followed by a coaching session with Marcel where we do a deep dive into a TF Reroll game from the sub-regional tournament from last weekend that I played in. If you haven't kept up with the meta lately, TF Reroll has evolved in the last week and a half or so. And so this is kind of the level 6 board, but specifically level 7 is where interesting stuff has evolved, where you're playing around Draven 3, Braum 3 as your cap. And if you are not contested Jarvan by Slayers players or Vanguard marksman players, which is very rare, although that could happen at lower elo, then you can go for Jarvan 3 as well. And if you can hit all 4 of these 3 stars with good itemization ahead of tempo, you actually have a good shot at playing for first place, which was not the case in previous patch when Twisted Fate was viewed as more of a top 4 comp. Now it can actually win out. So this is Master Plus. You can see here that TF has a 4.1 average place, only a 0.5 pick rate, and a higher win rate than both like Vanguard Marksman and Vexotech. So if you have the right spot for it, it can be a very strong comp. Keep in mind that you need a lot of rods. Twisted Fate's BIS has changed from double Rageblade Gunblade to being more flexible, though this is the new BIS, Rageblade Gunblade Archangel, just for more scaling. And you want to put your AD items on Draven 3 over Misfortune now. Of course, if you have an MF2 and a Draven 2, then MF2 is going to be better. At level 7, you can flex between either 4 Vanguard or 5 Syndicate, depending on which one you hit. Like if you hit Leona, then you could just play around that. And maybe you don't have a Misfortune yet. You could just play Darius until you find Misfortune. So you want to stabilize at level 6, maybe roll a little bit to get 2-star TF, and then push level 7 to slow roll at level 7 because you have 3 costs that you want to hit. If you just hit TF3 without hitting any of these other 3 stars, then most likely you're going to bot 4 with this comp. At best, probably get like a 4th place. So that's kind of the high level overview. You do need a lot of rods. So Lost Streak is viable, though if you do take that path, you really want to make sure you full Lost Streak until 3-2, then spike at 3-2, roll until you hit at least TF2 and a frontline 2-star as well that can stabilize you. There's a good amount of artifacts that can work well. Anima Visage and Unending Despair are good on Braum. Zonia on Twisted Fate is particularly good. Gambler's Blade as well to help you generate a lot of gold. And then at level 9, you can throw in an Aurora that synergizes really well with Misfortune for Dynamo. As far as augments go, Pandora's Bench, basically all of these are econ. Pandora's Bench, Too Much Value, Starry Night, Shop Glitch, all strong econ. And then Ascension, because you want to play a scaling fight, when you itemize your frontline, you really want to make sure you have traditional tank items, not utility items. In this comp, because you get so much scaling, you want to prioritize tank items before stuff like anti-heal and shred. And it's even fine. I've seen plenty of cases where it's fine to not have anti-heal or shred until really late in the game. Because if your Braum's unkillable, you will outscale them to the point that like the shred or the anti-heal might not even matter. But of course, if you want to have a chance at winning out the game, you do need anti-heal and shred. All right, so I'm going to jump into the meta mindset of the day. If you want to skip straight to the coaching session with Marcel, feel free to take a look at the timestamp in the description below. I'm modifying my meta mindset a little bit because I found that when I was putting a little bit too much effort into this, what happened is that I just did less videos. So I want to get in the habit of doing more of these, but maybe having the content itself be a little bit more rough around the edges than to not do it at all. And I think that is a mindset that I take for TFT as well, which is I'm fine with experimenting with new comps, even if I don't have it down completely pat, because that's part of the experimentation and learning process, which ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to do with these videos, is not just to share you the content, but the underlying, like kind of how the sausage is made and my approach to kind of life and learning. So as I mentioned in the meta mindset yesterday, I am trying to revisit an old process that I had a few years ago where I read something like a few hundred books a year, and then I did a ton of note assimilation, kind of like how I do with TFT, where I can like kind of search any, like I can search Vex, I can search Poppy, I have a lot of notes, I can look up like Boombot and see like kind of the notes I have, click into Ergot, right? So and everything, this is using Roam Research where everything's kind of linked to each other. So I can really quickly see stuff and search stuff. If I want to look up what emblems, maybe I could look through a tweet that Broseph had, right? So everything's searchable. And by the way, I make all of this information accessible to you in my description. But I did that with book notes, like a ton of reading notes that I take. And then I tag it all so that I can cross-link everything. And that's where a lot of the material for my meta mindset comes from. But I want to start a new process where, because a lot of the meta mindset stuff is stuff I've tagged in the past, and I still do a lot of reading, but I haven't done a lot of tagging in the present just to like link new information that I'm assimilating. So I want to get back in the habit of doing that. And I figure a way to do that is to just do that in the meta mindset process. So it's going to be more rough around the edges, but a lot more new material. So this book is a fiction book that I read recently, How Do You Live? I found it through watching The Boy and the Heron, a Miyazaki Hayao film, which was really good. I highly recommend it. And I'm going to go through some of the book quotes that stood out to me. So the authors say, there may be nothing more deep-rooted and stubborn than the human tendency to look at and think of things with themselves at the center. And by the way, I'm doing the meta mindset in the context of TFT and in life. So I'm going to try to connect these ideas to both TFT and how you can apply these ideas to your life as well. So when we think about a lot of the stuff that happened to Mortdog lately and him getting a ton of flame, and I've talked about this in a previous video, where people who experience pain tend to discharge that at the easiest accessible thing, and Mortdog became kind of a scapegoat for it, right? And this idea that the authors are talking about here is that we tend to, by default, think that we are the center of the universe, especially when we're a child. That's true. And that's where I feel that as a parent, the moment I became a parent, that completely shifted my perspective on the world. The analogy I use often is it's kind of like Copernicus and the authors actually talk about Copernicus here. When humans used to think that the universe revolved around the earth was the center, that was just a reflection of our belief that the world revolves around ourselves at the center of all of it. And when I became a parent, I realized like, oh, this universe does not revolve around me. All of a sudden it revolves around my child. And furthermore, when humans discovered that it's like, well, the earth is not the center of the universe. And furthermore, it's not the sun that's the center of the universe, even though we're rotating around the sun. Like the universe is this vast, seemingly infinite, endless concept that we cannot even grasp. And when we shift that perspective, especially in TFT, we start to realize like, hey, when low rolls are happening, when we're getting unlucky, when something is occurring, it's not targeting us. It's not like we are either at fault or being victimized or targeted. That the more we can shift our perspective, zoom out, be more objective at examining things, the better that we'll be able to be at analyzing what we can do better in a certain situation when we're looking back at a game that maybe we are not sure what happened, other than like, oh, hopefully we re-rolled or low rolled. But the ability to identify this human bias allows us to analyze TFT better and our lives better. Most people slip into a self-interested way of thinking, become unable to understand the facts of the matter, and end up seeing only that which betters their own circumstances. So this kind of reminds me of Soju, and to be fair, like I don't necessarily think that Soju fully believes half the stuff that he says, but he's great at entertaining people and magnifying and dramatizing stuff, which is what people find entertaining and why he has so many viewers. But when we have that completely self-centered viewpoint, we are unable to see and let in information that does not align with us being at the center of the universe. And so then we ignore relevant information that can help us make better decisions in TFT or in life. A lot of times this happens when, let's say you're driving on the road and someone cuts you off and you feel like this guy was an asshole, right? Well, what could be more likely is that like they just didn't see you. And maybe they had a crying baby in the car and their dad just passed away in the last week, right? Like a lot of times the shit that happens in the world, when we think about it only from a self-centered point of view, we assume that someone's targeting us, that like there's some conspiracy, which is why conspiracy theories are so rampant. But more likely it's just that like, hey, it's more of an accident or something's happening with the other person than it is something about like you are being targeted. If it means anything at all to live in this world, it's that you must live your life like a true human being and feel just what you feel. This is not something that anyone can teach from the sidelines, no matter how great a person they may be. And this idea, when applied to TFT, is relevant because a lot of times when we go on tilt and we're on a loss streak, we might just keep playing a bunch of games to try to dull the feelings that we have, which is very similar to when a compulsive gambler at Vegas who's losing can't leave the table and then they just like lose it all, right? It's kind of like, I'm sure many of us have gone through LP free falls where we just lose it all. And a big part of that is because we don't want to acknowledge how we're feeling. We don't take a moment to take a deep breath and pause and be mindful of how we're feeling and accept that that's okay. Instead, we want to shove it all down, shove it all out, hide it under the rug, into the closet, and ignore it, right? And that is the easiest way to prevent ourselves from being ourselves and feeling what it is to be human. That is why I think the first most basic step in these matters is to start with the moments of real feeling in your life when your heart is truly moved, and to think about the meaning of those. The things that you feel most deeply from the very bottom of your heart will never deceive you in the slightest. And so at all times, in all things, whatever feelings you may have, consider these carefully. This is especially true when you are going through a big decision in your life where you're uncertain about which choice to make. And oftentimes there's going to be a conflict. What I found is a conflict between what the world wants, what your parents want, what your friends want, what society values from a status standpoint, and then compare that to what you want. And for many people, too many people, they end up making the choice of what the world wants over what you want. And I think this idea here is saying, think about the real feeling in your life. When you feel like your heart is moved to tears, the things that bring you joy, like true joy for yourself, not because of this external reason, but for an internal, intrinsic reason that just feels powerful. Like that is what life is about. And when you're able to really connect with that part of yourself, that's when you can unlock like a ton of energy. The most important thing, more than what other people think, more than anything, is that you should first know for yourself, truly and deeply, where human greatness lies. And that's connected back to this idea up here that we just talked about. That it's those deep human feelings. To me, it's about love, it's about connection, it's about overcoming challenge and suffering. And when confronted with pain and suffering and our mortality, being able to act and live despite that. But more importantly is to know for yourself, because everyone can have a different interpretation and assessment of that. But knowing for yourself what is great about humanity and what is great about yourself because you are part of humanity, that allows you to live with confidence and joy. Because if we don't know where human greatness lies, and you could call this kind of a lofty, philosophical, unimportant statement that's this author's making, but I see in the world today, and I think you can see this in the declining birth rate, and when many of my peers and I think future generations are losing their faith and ability, and part of this is from a financial standpoint, but I think a big part of this is from a faith in humanity standpoint, that the birth rate is declining, that fewer and fewer people are deciding to have children. And I suspect a large part of that is because if you don't know where human greatness lies, if you don't have faith and optimism in humanity, there's no reason to have children. Like I always knew it was important for me to have kids. When my wife and I first started dating, I was 19, and basically from day one of us starting dating, I told her, if we're going to enter a relationship, I need to have kids. And if you don't want to have kids, like, that's okay. Like, this just won't work out, and that's okay. But I think a lot of people today don't want to have kids, and like I said, part of that's financial, but part of that is like people have a much larger degree of pessimism into the future and a lack of faith. And part of it too is there's a lot of unknown and uncertainty with the way that the world is accelerating and creating volatility, climate change, AI, nuclear weapons, all this kind of stuff, right? But if we can refocus on where human greatness lies, which to me is love, connection, when even like going to gaming LAN tournament, right? Like when Malala won the Vegas tournament, I got emotional just watching it. I can't even imagine what it must have felt like to be there in person. Or going to a music festival, like I think that's, or a sporting event. When you have large groups of people come together and rally over a common cause, and there's just this overwhelming sense of humanity and emotion, like that to me is where human greatness lies. And that is what I believe, if we can hold on to, can solve the problems, the seemingly infinite number of problems that are rising in the world. And going back to TFT, I believe that this game is special. TFT is special because of community relative to all the other games out there. Like, I think League of Legends downfall is because of the toxicity that it promoted. And it's sad to me what's happened with Mortdog recently, because I can see a trend in that direction as well. And I talked about this more in that video. But the more that we can rally together as a community, but even before we do that, for each of us to even value community and relationship in the first place relies on acknowledging this, right? To discover for each of us why we get up in the morning, why we interact with other people, why we build relationships in the first place. And that's, if we can come to different conclusions about what human greatness is, and ideally come to agree that this is one of the reasons that humanity is so great. If you think about, well, why, and when I talk to my kids about this, like, well, why are humans at the top of the food chain? Why do we not have to worry about predators attacking us? Why do humans as a species, we are just like any other animal, but we happen to get to the top, right? Why? And the largest reason for that from an evolutionary standpoint is that humans can communicate and cooperate at scale better than any other organism out there. Of course, part of it is we have opposable thumbs. Our brains can learn and adapt and evolve. But so much of it is in our ability to build scaled community and cooperate. There are lots of people in the world who act just for appearance's sake. in order to seem great in the eyes of others. That type of person worries first about how they are reflected in other people's eyes, and they inadvertently end up neglecting their true selves as they really are. I hope you don't become that sort of person. So I talked about this in my last video, where if you see on TFT Academy or you see a YouTube video, oh, this is what I should do. And this is why so many TFT players fall in the trap of playing a certain way or just greeting BIS, because they might be afraid that if they choose a different decision, they experiment, try out new comp, that they will look poorly in the eyes of others. This is especially true for younger people who are more insecure about themselves. But the more that you embrace your true self, which oftentimes means trying out new things, experimenting, especially with things that other people might not approve of, it takes a tremendous amount of courage to do that and to not care about your LP in some sense, right? In TFT, to try out a new line that you haven't done before. And even if you lose, like, that's okay, because you are learning longer term what style of play you enjoy playing for TFT, which if you embrace that can give you a great advantage over other players, which reminds me of a player like Appies. Like Appies oftentimes is trying to find new lines that other people, but he's not just doing that because he cares about how other people think about him. No, it's because that's just his style. He just enjoys doing that, right? And that's also why when people watch Appies play, it can be very inspiring and refreshing. And sure, some people might judge him and be like, well, this guy's not really conventional. He's never going to be able to really compete at the top levels. But you also have to think about why, again, going back to where human greatness lies, why you do, what motivates you to get up in the morning. And the more that you are able to embrace your true self, the more energy and motivation you'll have. And that is why you absolutely must attend to the things you feel in your own heart, the things that move you deeply. That is what is most important, now and always. Do not forget this and think carefully about what it means. So the more that you can really feel what you feel, know what moves you deeply, and then act on that, embrace that instead of denying it for what other people think and what they care about and how you think they might judge you, that can make all the difference in the world. There's nothing more beautiful than people nurturing goodwill toward their fellow beings, and those are the human relationships that humans truly deserve. So this is in inverse to what happened with Mortdog and all the just crap that he's been receiving. And it's great that there was a lot of goodwill that rallied behind him after what happened. Though a big part of this is we have to be more proactive about that. If we're just reactive to the negative, then it might be too late, right? The more proactive we are about building goodwill in a community, the more likely it is that we can build each other up without any individual ever getting to the point of burnout so quickly. All right, I'm going to jump kind of closer to the end because it's taking a little longer than I expected. To charge right at the things that are painful and difficult, break through to the other side and take pleasure in that. Don't you think that's truly fantastic? The greater the suffering, the greater the joy in overcoming it. So you don't fear death anymore. I think that's what a heroic spirit is all about. And I love this quote in the context of TFT, because that's what TFT is all about. It's about confronting hardship, about facing the unknown, about challenging ourselves, suffering through the process, and overcoming it. And the joy that comes with that when the stuff just clicks at the end. And it's not just because it clicks easily. And I talk to my kids about this, where sometimes they basically want the equivalent of the cheat code or the God mode, right? And my response to them is like, sure, maybe that's fun for the first few times, but if you have God mode in a game and you just win every time, and it's Disneyland all the time, eventually it gets boring, and it gets boring pretty quickly. So much of the joy in playing games, and also in life, it's actually the hardship and the suffering and the overcoming of that process that makes the end result so much more rewarding. And that's why it's so much of it is not just about the destination, it's about the journey and the hardship and the suffering that you had to overcome in the process of reaching the end destination. If all you're doing is focusing on the end destination and wanting that feeling of joy at the end, well, you're probably going to be disappointed if the journey itself was easy, because then there's actually no real reward at the end of it. And that's what the authors are talking about here, is that the idea of a hero is not just when we look at superheroes or when we look at someone that's at the top of the TFT standings, like Dish Soap. So much of being a hero, people just look at the end result of that and be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to be a hero? But what you don't see is all the struggle that came for that hero to become the hero. For Batman to have become Batman, had to witness his parents' death, to feel his sense of helplessness in that situation, and to then organize his life to be motivated to prevent that from happening, right? That's what the heroic struggle is. It's to experience suffering in immense degree and then figure out how to transform and evolve that suffering into motivation and energy in order to take power over the situation, to shift from a victim mentality to a hero. And that is what TFT in its real form to me is all about as well. It's to take that struggle, to take the pain of losing and the feeling of being dizzy and not knowing what's happening, transform the chaos of the information that you're confronted with, organize it, and then overcome it. And then to have the reward at the end of that struggle. And that, I believe, is the metaphor for life, because when we are able to experience pain and suffering, not give up, to stand up again. That's what we tell our kids all the time is, I don't care if you fell down. I don't care if you make a mistake or fail. What I care is about is what your reaction is in that situation. Whether you choose to get up and try again and try again and try again. And if you do that, eventually you'll get to where you want to go. If you have faith and determination and commitment and keep trying, that's where the reward and the joy comes in, right? And that's what heroism is all about. So I hope you enjoyed this meta mindset of the day. Again, this is from a book called How Do You Live? Really highly recommend this book. It's actually quite a short read as well. And with that said, I'm going to jump into the coaching session with Marcel. I hope you enjoy it. If you have thoughts, questions, feedback, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below as well. And here is the video with Marcel.
It's what is it? Golden Gala. Okay, Jinx, Braum. I guess the old Zyra Seraphine. I mean, those 3 units, right? Commit the Zyra and the Seraphines. Yeah, probably sell Poppy. It's hard to say, right? I mean, this guy's Cypher potentially. 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. 1 out of 3. What was the last guy? Catch. There's a lot of Cypher, right? Like, which already it sort of incentivizes playing a 0 unit board, because then you grief both of them.
Oh.
But, what's the last guy? Oh, this is the last guy. Okay, yeah. I mean, it depends, right? It's just one signal that tells us there's a chance that a 0 unit board is a good play here, or a 1 unit board, if you have no like good opener. Which here so far it's hard to say. Oh, what? Oh, it looks like you're. Oh, this is fine, I guess. Yeah, this is fine.
Like if that was a rod or bow hold Braum for like TF angle.
I think I would still hold the Braum, to be honest. I would just sell the Poppy and hold the Seraphine, but I don't think that Alistar and Nidalee are that. I mean, I guess. I mean, it allows you to hit Alistar pair and Nidalee pair, but I feel like I'd rather just hold the Braum and play potentially around like Vanguard Marksman is something you can potentially play towards. You can like slam items on Braum. Like it just depends what would be fine on our augment and our next thing. But I'd rather like just hold the stronger units, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've just been two tunneling on AP when I see a tier drop. That even with tier, I should be considering Vanguard Marksman with Shojin.
I think you're way more likely to play AP here for sure, but I just don't. I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal, to be fair. I don't think that the selling this Braum for the 3 units is like. I think both are fine.
Okay.
Um, I do think we're very weak here so far, such that
Like you might just play Alistar and make 10.
that I don't know about that because I feel like you could hit some pairs. I was more to do with like I'm getting more and more convinced that we should just open into like Vex. Uh, Especially because of the state of the lobby where there are all these Cypher players.
Yeah. So
Like we
then
saw
why
3.
why not just make 10 here?
Because I don't think the board is like so abysmally like because you have Seraphine pair, you have like some items that are like potentially snappable, and so I'm still not
Okay.
convinced that we can. I'd rather leave open the small chance of pay 1 gold, leave open this tiny chance that you can still win streak, which is
Mhm.
always like a preferable spot. Yeah, like here you could also potentially be TF, right? Depending on your augment, if you had held the Braum. I just feel
Yeah.
like Alistar and Nidalee just don't really help you with direction much, and Braum can. Right?
Like Alistar is I'm mainly holding if I can hit a Mundo and then just but yeah, that's still far away from hitting any 2 stars.
But like even if you hit Mundo, or like 1-star Zyra not paired, 1-star Jinx not paired, 1-star Mundo not paired.
Mhm.
I feel like it's not worth even playing around that. I feel like here the Braum is like more. And then we're talking about not even those units, we're talking about the Alistar, which would go with those units. I feel like the Braum is just a stronger unit that's more worth anchoring around than the prospect of a 1-star, fully 1-star non-paired Street Demon board.
Okay.
A
Yeah.
bruiser to go with a fully 1-star unpaired Street Demon board. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just need to view the Braum as like the equivalent of a 2 star 1 cost.
Yeah, exactly. I think these holds are good. Like, yeah, I don't mind this.
Probably pick up the Kog'Maw to keep
Yeah, agreed. For well, you don't have any rapid fires. It's not that big a deal.
okay.
Yeah, it's
And
not
no
that big a
Rage
deal.
Blade.
Yeah. What is the hack? Oh, this thing. I see. You, you never take this executioner, right? We're just rolling this. Nor are we taking cooking pot in this spot. Isn't this really good?
Yeah, I did not play. I don't think I had played any Vanguard's Marksman this first day and was not familiar with it. Then I saw it do well at the first day, so then I started playing it second day.
Oh yeah, I feel like if you have the Braum here, I feel like you could even win streak. You have Jinx, you
Yeah.
have Jin, you have Braum, you have Silas. You play 2-2. I feel like, and then you slam you have open bow, you slam that adaptive. I feel like this spot looks very playable. Just because this line is pretty good. Flat line is very good.
Yeah, agreed.
Um, I mean, you can't really. Like this is fiddlesticks. Like this one is so hard to play around, unless you're like trying to play. This is so hard to play around. I feel like I just roll this no matter what. Like the one line you can maybe play this to is like Urgot, maybe, but then you're committed to playing around the 6 bruisers, which is not even the way you really want to play it. You can play around Fiddle, but your items are so bad for Fiddle. Now we wish we had the Braum.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I probably still down to take that, depending on what everyone else has, but I'd roll middle.
Is the Skeletor augment takeable without Artifact Fiddle? Like, let's say I
I don't.
had a fiddle and an archangel.
I don't think so personally,
Okay.
but could be wrong. Just wandering trainer here, I think. I think it's not the worst if you know there are no TFs. I don't think this is amazing, but I think I'd wandering trainer here.
Okay.
But I don't think this is significantly worse than wandering trainer. I can be convinced that this is better even. I'm not sure.
I'm just short so many rods.
Yeah, and you'd rather lose here now, right? You'd rather just lose into getting the rod. Like I would sell bench here probably, right? Yeah. Okay. Mm. Mm. Can't you just even sell? Oh, like I guess he's playing a board, but like you could even sell Gragas Darius here, right? Darius doesn't even make your final board sometimes. Like Darius is such a piece of shit. You don't even really care to 3-star him.
Right. Yeah.
Potentially not to make 30 here, but yeah, it's fine. Go for Rod. Nice 3-cost Rod. We'll just skip through. This is like, oh, what did we win? Oh, we let this guy. Oh.
Yeah, I should not have wait, I just slammed, right?
Oh,
Yeah, I should not slam.
you slammed. Yeah, yeah. Relax,
Yeah,
relax.
yeah. We've talked about that so many times.
My boy's not locked in. Lock in, buddy. There's a Cypher player. You probably I don't
Yeah.
know if you might still win because you have oh you're meant to toggle your hat here as well. You don't hat, you don't slam. You fight that guy, you hat your Shaco, and then you could lose.
Okay, yeah.
We've been talking about this in our 4v4s as well, where you toggle hat based on if you want to sack for your teammate, you can pat your some shitter.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
this
other
fight is so
thing
close.
with like,
You lose, yeah, you win with the dummy. Yeah, you win off hat here.
yeah,
You lose off hat here.
yeah. It's like tough for me to play these tournaments because I literally was coaching my daughter's softball team that morning and I had to scramble home to eat lunch and then like get into game mode. And I'm like scarfing down food before tournament. And like don't even get any warm-up games in.
Look at this guy having real life obligations. What kind of TFT player are you?
Yeah.
Fraudulent TFT player.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
pretty
look at this pool. Like this pool is 2 Cypher players. You really wanted to open here, right?
mm-hmm.
You secure 5 loss, and you make these guys' games so much harder. Right? I mean, the game is still easy, but they go from having a massive cash out to having like no win streak, gold, and not a massive cash out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At least they fought each other, so you get that benefit. Let's see what you get here.
Archangel.
We also lost our win streak here. It's kind of annoying. Our loss streak, right? So then you'd be quite a bit richer going into like you ideally would go like 6 loss into winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was on 4 loss into that Cypher player.
Yeah. You were on 3 loss and then you won the Cypher player on 2-5.
Yeah. Definitely not locked in.
Here I know like I know our gun is like the best build, but we have a bow. So I am not sure if we're meant to like greed. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure yet. Let me look at the TF itemization, but I feel like double rage is I would think double rage is still fine, but let's see.
I was thinking I could do Archangel and then LW for Draven. But you want 3 item on first?
I don't want 3 item TF, but let me see like how badly the double rage builds do. It looks like double rage is still pretty good. I feel like I'd rather just first focus on 3 item TF.
Especially because I have the 2 hacked components as like, and I have a lot of components, so that creates more flexibility. But yeah, you still want, like, you want to win.
I think I really want 3 item. I just want 3 item TF now, like ASAP, basically. And if I make this last whisper, doesn't it make it kind of hard to get the 3-item TF at that point? Like you're it's kind of hard. Yeah.
I should be able to get the 3-item TF by carousel.
Oh, but you want to win 3-2, 3-3. I feel like losing 3-2, each loss in 3-2 and 3-3 is potentially one full placement with this comp, right?
Hmm.
Because you're playing a 2/3 cost reroll comp.
Okay.
Especially when you already lost all of stage 2. But let's see. I mean, you can make Shiv here. So like, oh, you just make the last whisper. Oh, I feel like did it make diff here? Maybe it made diff here, but I feel like I'd rather just because isn't there a chance you just go Shiv first on and then that's your TF item in the interim?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if you're last whispering, I'd rather just last whisper the TF for the stats.
Okay.
And then you move it off. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Rod is always like you can't be that unhappy with Rod. Let's see. I'm debating between Rod and Forge.
Yeah. Forge has a good amount of outs, but it's like if I whiff, then I'm pretty screwed, right? I guess it's like odds of whiffing are not that high.
They're so low, right? Because you have frontline items as well.
Yeah.
You have 0 frontline items. I think I'm kind of down for Forge, especially because they nerfed Crownswell. Crownswell also doesn't. I guess it helps your Braum. It would depend on how much I value armor. I think in this lobby. I guess it gives you Gunblade. Okay, it gives you Gunblade. Okay, I'm down. I'm down. Yeah, if it gives you Gunblade, I'm really down. Okay, fine. Do I like rolling here? We have this pair. We hit that.
Didn't we just say that we want to win 3-2, 3-3 and have Gunblade? Or you're saying we can already win with this board? I guess I
I
don't.
feel like it's already like kind of good enough ish. Like the new TF board.
You want to roll on
I feel like
Saturday?
with 3 items, you're already like kind of stable, right? 3-item TF, you have all the units except for Braum, and then you have no pairs. I feel like there's a chance you just sneak by into 4-1 with like 65 HP, and then you hit everything on the on there. Because I feel like you do this now with no pairs, your 3 stars are gonna be so far away. Because I think here you have to roll to like 20 gold to hit like TF2, right? Maybe.
If
And rolling on a 1 win.
so, if you knew you were gonna lose 3-2, 3-3, you would still do that. This is under the assumption you're okay with mixed streaking for the rest of the stage, or would you
Still do what? If I knew I was gonna lose 3-2, 3-3, I would still. Oh, I would still
like just
not
sit?
roll.
Yeah.
If there are 1 unit losses, it depends on how big the losses would be. I think you just don't want to take like massive losses. The stage damage is not that big. Like I think if we had full loss streaked, you would have quite a bit more gold, right?
Yeah.
And then you would be able to roll, and then you would likely be at 50 gold now with like TF pair, and then I'm down to roll a little more. But because we didn't loss streak, we're not able to roll that much. I feel like it's hard. The cost of dipping well below 50 sounds kind of painful in my mind. Now I'm down to roll. You roll the 1. I guess assuming you sell the Kog'Maw, the 1 roll is fine. Now I'm down to roll to like 30, probably. Yeah. And then now
just sit here, or
I'd probably stop here. Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably stop here. I mean, you're just a genius, so it's fine. But I probably would have stopped after the last.
okay.
I think the more correct answer is you check pool, but
Right. So let's
fine.
say you didn't roll there. Oh, also Gragas should be stronger here.
Gragas should be stronger. It also allows you to not potentially burn or remover down the
Right.
line. Not that the remover matters that much, but I think Gragas is stronger.
If you didn't roll there, you would have waited till 4-1, or let's say we did lose, then I assume you roll in 3-5, like level rolls 3-5. I guess it depends how much HP we're at.
Depends how much HP you're losing, but I feel like I wouldn't expect to lose that much HP if your 3 item perfect item TF, double combat. You have most of your units. I feel like I'd be quite surprised if we lost by. It'd only be to other rerollers typically, or like super high roll board. So I don't think I'm ever. You're often not willing to level roll 3-5 unless you have so much gold because it makes it so hard to hit your 3 stars.
Yeah, or unless you were like lose streaking up until 3-5.
Even then, yeah, I guess you're lost up until 3-5 and your board is in a bad spot, but I feel like your board is like at 1 star is already like pretty stable.
Yeah, you okay with making that stone plate?
You made it. Oh, where did you made it in between rounds?
Yeah, I didn't need it, but I didn't
Oh,
want to risk it turning into like a.
oh, you can just put it on Kog'Maw, right? You know you can put the component on and then sell.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And then just sit on the vest and cloak. Okay.
The chain, yeah, and just depending on how the next fight goes, because I don't think you needed it in this fight. Okay, maybe you did. He's win streaking as well, so
Like
I don't
this
think you did
guy,
ultimately. Yeah,
I probably would have lost if I sat on 3-2, right?
yeah, definitely. You would have lost this for sure. He's levels. Is that true? Wait, really?
I was on Cog 2 and TF1 with Darius 2, Gragas 1.
He has 1 upgrade. I think you would. I think it's close. I think you win,
Huh.
but
Okay.
could be wrong.
I think I'm like undervaluing the strength of just TF1 on stage 3 with 3 items.
I think it's close, and I feel like you don't even care with 1 unit loss here because for 1 unit loss. I think I was mentioning earlier like each loss is a loss of a placement, but that was not with triple bis TF, right? On 3-1, we were sitting on Rage Arc open item, and in fact, it was looking like we don't even complete the item. But then on 3-2, we hit this augment. We're now 3 item TF. I feel like now even on TF1, it doesn't look that bad. You had the Draven, you had the Darius too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've trained in my head that for 2-class reroll, I just need to get really strong on 3-2. But it's what I'm hearing is strong enough, which can mean like if I'm taking 1 unit losses, that's fine.
I think for comps that really sit on 6, rolling deeper is less painful. But this comp is no longer a level 6 comp, right? This comp has evolved into a level 7 comp.
Yeah.
Such that when that is the case, you typically want to like as much as possible. You do want to stabilize 3-2, but like if you can, ideally you don't roll. Right? Ideally.
I think that's just generally true for almost all the 2-class rerolls now, right? Like even like when I'm playing Nefiri now, I'm pretty much rolling on 7. And what else? Class reroll. Like
Oh
Vayne,
really?
you
Is
want to roll
Nefiri
on
level
7?
7 reroll comp now? Wait, why?
I haven't really watched anyone else play it, but every time I get pulse stabilizer, it's like the super easiest top 4 in the world for me, and I like hit first with it like so often.
Wait, but just like what is the logic for rolling on 7 in that board? I feel like the 3 costs aren't a
Because I
integral
can
part of
hit Yumi 3. And Nefiri 2 with the 3 items is like so stable. And then level 7, you can hit like, especially if there's brand players, you can hit the Nico, you can hit the Sejuani, Annie. Like some levels just natural and Annie too. And
on
like,
7.
and I've seen other players play it and they high roll the Samira. Like you at least give yourself a shot at the Samira.
I see. I guess I can see it, especially when you have Yumi items. I feel like without Yumi items, I have because like in the TF line, it makes a lot of sense to me, and in the Vayne line, because J4 and Senna are so important. Draven and Braum are so important, but I feel like unless you have Yumi items, there aren't all the 3 costs just kind of whatever in the.
Yeah, the
In the
good thing is
Neferi.
that with because I'm really only playing the line with pulse stabilizer. Like you only need 2 items for the Nefiri, and so
Yeah,
I've found that I typically will
you
be
will have
able
Yumi
to,
items
yeah.
basically. Gotcha.
And then by the
And then you're
time you're
always
trying to
playing around.
itemize Yumi, like all the AP players have already like picked up their tiers, so they don't like Brand only needs like 1 tier, right? So like
Yeah.
the tiers are more available later.
Gotcha. Yeah, it looks like Yumi 3 really helps your placement. So yeah, I
Oh
think I
yeah,
really like
once I hit the Yumi 3, like Yumi easily outdamages the Nefiri. The Nefiri then becomes like the meat shield. Kind of
yeah.
reminds me of what was it Enforcers, where like the Vi was like your main tank basically. Like the Nefiri is like basically the main tank, and then the Yumi becomes the damage dealer.
Gotcha. I can see it. Especially as you're saying, you only need 2 items for Fury, so it's easy to make good backline items.
Yeah, which is why I feel like I think I tried it a little bit without pulse stabilizer. Like Hyper Fangs is okay, but like without either of those, and you need to pull 3 item the Fury, it just feels way worse.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I lean that, especially if I have pull stabilizer and component anvil, like I almost like just hard force it.
Gotcha.
Like I don't think I've gotten any bot fours with that line anytime I have pull stabilizer.
I think I need to play that line more. I haven't played that line that much, so I'm down to learn from you. This is, let's see, frontline component, right? Ideally. Oh, RB sword.
Uh oh yeah. Why am I sword?
Isn't it? Isn't it cloak?
Do I have an open component?
No, I feel like it's cloak for bark or just for line component.
Okay, so this is same leak, I guess, in my game as when I was trying to fully itemize Samira when I didn't have 3 item tank yet. And this is a scaling comp. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'm surprised because you have a rage blade arc. However, yeah, just 1 item here. But yeah. Okay. Lost, but I mean it's annoying, but like whatever. What can you do? It's not like we're leveling here. Is there a positioning thing here we could have done? Let's see.
In general, I think the pattern should be that I'm missing in my game is once I have a fully itemized backline carry, I should be fully itemizing my front line before I think about fully itemizing my secondary carry.
Carry in general, yes. I will say that. Yeah, in general, that is the case. It depends on the comp sometimes, but yeah, usually that is the case.
Okay.
I'd say more than usually. It's like 95% of the time that's the case. There are some comps where you just want all damage,
Right.
but
Like Enforcer
for the
last
most part,
set, like what we were talking.
I don't think there's much positioning. He has a lot of upgrades. He has 5 upgrades. You have 4. He has 1 unit on you. He has flatline, and his augments are a little bit better. He has shred, anti heal. Yeah, it's hard to win this, I guess. It's close though.
Yeah, this is the game I was offered the marksman augment.
Yeah.
I thought that they changed the design to like not duplicate trait specific stuff.
It doesn't duplicate hero augments. From I don't know if
Uh,
there's anything else, any other logic. I'm pretty sure there's no other logic besides that. Okay. I'm gonna roll for the either 5 syndicate or 4 vanguard, right? I'm willing to roll deeper here, I think. You're on 1 loss, but now our front line is gonna be so suspect for a lot of this game. This guy is
yeah,
so weak. He saw 0 brand. Yikes. Yeah, this guy's epic 410 brand. Uh, roll right.
it's pretty good if I
Roll left.
had tank items. The right side.
Yeah. Roll left here. It's probably that now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably left here, given your item situation. Like, and now you're just like you just abuse the fact that you have a bunch of backline and piercing lotus.
LW doesn't feel good, but I guess TF's dealing more of my damage, and that way I don't need an IE on Draven.
It's fine. It'll give you some crit. The glove. You use the glove from Last Whisper. I don't think it's that big a deal.
Okay.
Uplink is maybe doable here because it also gets you closer to front line. I'm Is left better than on the last one? Isn't this better? Isn't right better? I feel like right is better
Mhm.
because this comp can use so many items, right? You're still so far away from running out of item slots. You don't have anti-heal, don't have shred,
Yeah.
don't have and then uplink is good combat with having more items. I feel like I like right here. You do lose your 8 gold, but I think I'd rather have this because
Okay.
it's strong right now and it's strong eventually.
And I could reforge rod to hopefully make a. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess if I have a
reforge-
vest, then I can make crown guard. But yeah,
because you spike a lot from items here. Like your 1 item slot here and 1.5 item slot here.
right. Yeah. Okay.
Uh, yeah, I would try to find 4. Why aren't we buying? Isn't 4 Vanguard? Oh, Leona pair. Wait,
Oh, is 4
huh?
Vanguard the default S7? I always felt like this was awkward for me S7. I didn't know what to do.
Oh yeah, it's always 4 Vanguard or 5 Syndicate. That's why this board displayed now on level 7. It's because you
Oh,
play 4 Vanguard or 5 Syndicate.
4
Yeah,
Vanguard or 5.
yeah. It's just your Braum and your Garen here are the open spots, right? And your 4 Vanguard or 5 Syndicate.
It okay. So it would be Leona and who's the
Whatever.
who's the fourth Van or just any Vanguard? It could just be like
Any Vanguard. Typically, it's actually if there's no Slayer player, it's J4, and you can 3-star the J4 as well. And that's when this board is insane. You 3-star J4, 3-star Braum, 3-star Draven.
okay.
It's harder to 3-star J4 because if they're Vanguard marksman players, but it is typically J4. If you like trying to play on like Aurora Anima squad, I guess you could Silas, but like yeah, usually you just Silas and Leona, but typically it's just J4. And if you have excess backline items and you find MF, and let's say you're really far from Draven 3, then that's when you play not 4 Vanguard, you play 5 Syndicate, and then you itemize your MF as your duo instead of Draven.
I see. Okay. I need to update my model for this. So the level 9 board is 5 Syndicate, 4 Vanguard.
It can be that, yeah. Yeah, you just you have to decide on 7 if you're 5 Syndicate or 4 Vanguard, and then yeah, and then on 9 you can do the other. On 8, if you are 5 Syndicate, you can add Dynamo, right? If you are, you can also add Gragas. Always on 8 is a good one to add. So.
Okay.
And if you're 4 Vanguard, usually MF is better than on 7. Usually MF is better than 2-star Darius, because at that point 2-star Darius is not even a bruiser, so the MF can do something, can do some damage, because you already have a bunch of frontliners, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty sure your board is a lot stronger on 4 Vanguard here than this Garen and the guy. I guess you bruiser this guy and it helps, but I would think that especially if you get the Leon, if they're 2 stars, especially. I think on 1 stars, I mean they didn't even add that much HP, I guess, to him. I would still think 4 Vanguard is stronger than this, assuming you have either of your other Vanguard unit 2-starred. Okay. Frontline item here, ideally. Yeah. Like here, I like Crown Guard better. Hopefully, because Crown Guard better than Sunfire. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Just because you get to actually have out, easier out for your third tank item, and it's also just a real tank item versus Sunfire.
Mhm.
You're a stall comp. This guy is Cypher and pretty strong. You put up a good fight though. CTF. What is this? Some trash. I mean, you're meant to just drop out of this anyway. So like
Yeah.
this one is some trash, right? Probably like Bruiser. I don't know, one of your frontliners or something. I don't know. Divin backline. Why are we so slow here? Wait,
Good
we just sat
question.
and burned like 10 seconds for free. Let's see. Here,
Yeah, what was I doing? Was I trying to figure out my
roll once.
items?
You rolled twice, and then or 25. I just want to see how much time we burned. 25, 24, 23, 22, 21. Like 4 seconds. It's kind of painful, right? You're at 25 seconds, you burned like nearly 20% of your time.
Yeah. I don't even know what I
Mm,
was. Okay, I need to order of operations 2 items last.
yeah, this is probably redemption or declaw, but yeah, I agree. It's pretty easy to like the only way you get fucked by not popping this is if like the item you want to complete is off of cloak and not belt, and you didn't remove the belt. But
Oh,
I think I would
okay.
rather roll here. I'd much rather roll here.
Yeah, and maybe I was thinking I was running out of bench space.
Wait, did he? You sort of are. Did he not buy? Just I think it's just a Darius he didn't buy, which is fine. Oh no, wait, didn't you miss a Braum?
Oh, that's why I popped it, right? Wait, did I miss a brawl?
Oh no, you didn't. You didn't. I'm down to just sell a Shaco here, but
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
just to be faster. But I can see why now you pop. Yeah, it's because you ran out of bench space. I would just sell a Shaco personally, but
Okay, yeah. Agreed.
MF sell a Shaco. Buy. We're kind of far, right? So I guess you're one off Braum. Okay, I'm okay with all these rolls at this point. Yeah, Braum, nice. Probably had Braum here, maybe. So you have maybe. I'm not sure actually. Not sure. It's definitely 5 Syndicate though over the 2 guys,
Okay.
the Braum and the um Gragas and the Garen, right?
Even with the bruiser mod.
I would think that isn't Hat Braum just more HP than Bruiser mod?
Oh,
I would think
okay.
it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm, is this level even worth it? I guess we're kind of far off TF, but okay, I guess we're kind of far.
Like
Yeah, I
at this point,
guess.
it's probably what, like average of 15 gold per TF.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of. But now you're like guaranteed never TF3. But I guess you were leveling for a Gragas here, right? Or Gragas 2. Mm, just kind of sad, but yeah, I guess this is fine.
I mean,
We don't get Sejuani here, right? Oh, we do. Wait, oh, we don't. I don't think this is anti-Sejuani positioning though. I think Sejuani here still hits the TF. I think.
yeah, I just figured he wasn't gonna swap sides.
Okay, and it worked out.
Because
You
I
breached
feel
the
like if I've just been sitting in that position the whole game, like they just assume I'm gonna keep sitting there.
yeah. Mm,
But yeah, like given that I did lose 5-3 anyway, because at this by leveling, I'm just like basically going for like top 5. Whereas if I had sat around, maybe I could still contend top 4. If I had
Um.
sat and then rolled for TF, like
Yeah, but you do also risk going 6th instead of 5th or something like that if you sat 7, I guess. So
mhm.
I can understand why you would level there, but because you're only at 6 TFs. But I think the reason we're at 6 TFs is also because we didn't like full loss streak stage 2, right? Like, that's not the reason, but like it contributes a lot because you lost your you didn't like play around streak fully, right?
Yeah, that and then the rolling on 3-2 instead of waiting a little longer.
Yeah. Actually, rolling on 3D doesn't hurt your TF odds that much because you're rolling on level. If anything, it kind of helps it because you're rolling on level 6. QSS because we're piercing. It's fine. Guy, I assume we win. Yeah, I mean, this board is still pretty strong even without the TF3. And we lose to Cypher here. I mean, 4th is not bad. I just feel like our stage 1, both the games are like kind of the itemization for, as you're saying, 2-3 item tank. And then what did I say about stage 1 in this game? We didn't hold
Wrong.
the Braum, and then I guess the Vanguard Marksman. You didn't really know, you didn't really know the strength of this line, and then and then the what was the other thing I said here? You could have sold for econ here. Like I think the likelihood you miss. So like if you do the things that I was saying here, where we sell these 2 units, you make 30. I probably would sell here, make 30. I guarantee rod. I feel like all these things are pointing towards like way more gold, which should be way less likely to miss TF3, right? Like I would be playing out streak here. I wouldn't win this.
Yeah.
Wouldn't win this.
And I think,
And this guy ends up biting, like fucking your
the
game.
Cypher player beat me
Yeah.
later.
This is the guy that beats you eventually. Or I don't know if it's this guy, but like one of the Cypher players beats you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a little more locking in on stage 1 and 2, I think would help for sure. But as you're saying, I mean, you're bogged down with all this other stuff. So yeah, kids, whatever that is, I don't know what that is, but yeah,
real life. What is that? Okay, yeah, I gotta think about intentionally griefing Cypher more.
Especially when you are, I mean, it's specifically when you are lost streaking yourself, right? When you have reasons to lost streak yourself. Definitely, you shouldn't be doing it when you're like incentivized to win, but you have no incentive to win here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also just like understanding the level 7 TF board better probably would have preserved me more HP as well.
Yeah. You would have potentially had a shot at 2-star Leona. 2-star Leona, 2-star J4. Your frontline is insane. Instead of this Garen Gragas.
Yeah.